Washington Post has this, you've probably seen it, has this fact-checking page or investigation team, and they give things that aren't true. They give them Pinocchios, right? If something is completely false, they give it 4 Pinocchios. And it might sound funny, but this is actually a thing that politicians and others fear, because so many people read and take this stuff as literal, and that it actually that it's actually true, that if you get Pinocchioed, if you get ratioed on the Pinocchioed, if you get a Pinocchio ratio, you are fucked. But seriously, people take this. It is very harmful to, let's say, a politician's career if they get heavily Pinocchioed by the Washington Post. And here you have the Washington Post quietly changing their own updates on the their Biden Burisma story. They call them updates. In fact, what it should be called is corrections or retractions, but they figure, well, it looks less bad. It looks less bad if we call it an update. For the second time in 3 years, the Washington Post has quietly updated one of the most consequential fact checks in the history of American politics. The October 2020 article undercutting reports that Hunter Biden arranged a dinner meeting between one of his foreign business clients and his father, which is straight up corruption, right? You've got a son of a vice president arranging a major business meeting with a Ukrainian oligarch with his vice president father, and that son is taking tens of thousands of dollars. It now seems to be $83,000 a month that Hunter Biden was getting. I always thought it was 50, but it's gone up. Anyway, so it also apparently was one of the most viewed articles the Washington Post ever had. It was right before the election. It would have, if it came out as true, it very well might have cost Biden the election. And Washington Post came to the savior of Biden and said, no, the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden Burisma dinner meeting never happened. And if you say it did, then you have 4 Pinocchios. The original article by the Washington Post chief fact checker, Glenn Kessler, was published the same day as the New York Post pre-election scoop, revealing that Joe Biden had attended a 2015 dinner with a top executive of a Ukrainian energy firm, Burisma, which was paying his son $83,000 per month. Kessler's fact check involved interviews with a host of Biden aides who vehemently disputed the vice president's attendance at the dinner and advanced the theory that the source of information, a laptop Hunter had abandoned at a Delaware repair shop, was untrustworthy and possibly a Russian plant. That conspiracy theory was quickly embraced by 51 former intelligence officials who all said, yep, the Hunter Biden laptop has all, this was their quote, all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. Now, of course, we now know it was all true. The article Kessler would later boast was one of the most read articles in the 13-year history of the fact-checking feature. But Kessler's fact check has not aged well. Just last week, Hunter Biden's former business partner, Devin Archer, testified before Congress that the article was not correct reporting. Instead of retracting the article, as the Post did with some of its debunked Russiagate coverage or running a straightforward correction, the paper has appended a series of updates to its reporting. The Washington Post and other media have tried to squelch the scandal of Joe Biden potentially using his high office to enrich himself and his family. Almost nobody is fact-checking these biased fact-checkers, and they carry a lot of weight and authority. So literally they said in the original article that Hunter Biden's alleged laptop is, not proven, and it's fake news. And the idea that then Vice President they met with senior Burisma official Vadim Pizarski, on April 16th, 2015, is not true, and didn't even attend the dinner in question at the Georgetown restaurant. So they said Joe Biden was never there, is what this fact check, official Washington Post fact check, Joe Biden was never there, never at the dinner, never connected to it. The specific email in question, the New York Post called it a smoking gun, was an April 17th message from Pizarski thanking Hunter Biden for the opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. Aw, so cute. The Washington Post then appended Kessler's story with a note that the article had been updated. It linked to a revised version, which carried the headline Hunter Biden laptop, April 16, 2015 dinner. The new article acknowledged that Joe Biden had stopped by the dinner, but they said only for a minute. And he didn't even sit down, they said. He just walked in, patted the guys on the back, and headed out. That's all it was. There was no dinner. There was no corruption. They're still giving it 4 Pinocchios. Kessler quoted Biden allies as saying he only dropped by briefly. However, New York Post reporter pointed out to Kessler through Twitter that a VADM. They also claim that the Ukrainian executive from Burisma wasn't there. So then the New York Post reporter pointed out to Kessler through Twitter that a Vadim, that's his first name, or Vadim, was on the guest list that Hunter sent to Archer before the event. But they didn't, even despite that, even he's told, no, literally, Vadim was there, and they don't correct it. But transcripts released last week reveal that Archer, who sat on the Burisma board with Hunter and attended the Cafe Milano dinner, confirmed the New York Post reporting. In a recent deposition in front of Congress, meaning they're sworn to tell the truth and they can be prosecuted if they don't, Archer testified that not only did Pizarski attend the dinner, but so did Joe Biden. And not just for a brief drop by, but Joe Biden sat and he ate dinner. So basically a full attending of said dinner that the Washington Post claimed never happened. Following up on your earlier inquiry, she wrote, this piece has now been updated. Oh, they updated it again. Isn't it nice of them? Washington Post keep updating their fact checks. In the latest version, just updated this August 3rd, so just a few days ago. This is 3 years after the initial article, and they're still like, well, actually. Kessler added a parenthetical update several paragraphs into the speech that Archer in his deposition disputed the recollections. In another update inserted later in the story, Kessler acknowledged that Archer told investigators Pizarski attended the dinner. Finally, at the end of the story, Kessler again cited Archer's interview to correct his earlier reporting about the dinner, about a dinner attendee who did not, in fact, attend the function. But he referred to it as an update instead of a correction, which they're all correction. I mean, and this is supposedly the fact checker feature, and they are incapable of admitting that they're correcting their fact check. In its related 2020 story, the Post appended another correction masquerading as an update, which noted that the laptop Kessler implied was disinformation had been authenticated. Basically, this entire fact check article, one of the most ever read in the history of Washington Post fact checking, should have a giant red bullshit stamped across it. And instead, they're trying to like tinker with the sides and the corners and like, if we just put this here and we can massage, if we massage this around, then maybe it kind of looks like we were anywhere near not lying. Despite the rolling disclosures reaching a critical mass, the Post has not published a separate news story examining its own errors, which probably helped Biden win that election, which misinformed voters ahead of the November 2020 presidential election and continued to mislead the public deep into the Biden presidency. Well, how fun to see them just be wrong and wrong and wrong and to continue to try and massage just whether, I mean, this goes to show like some of the most hilarious mainstream media articles and TV shows are the ones where they claim to be the authority on facts. Because your mainstream media is not built on facts. It's built on doing the bidding of the corporate state. That is what holds up the whole structure. So it had never been built on facts. It's been built on bullshit that supports the American empire. So for any of them to be like, well, we have our fact-checking segment where we look at what's true and what's not, as long as it supports the American empire.